Congratulations on this album, Alex. It is an absolutely fantastic album, so congratulations.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Now, this is the second album of a trilogy, so I was wondering if you could start off by telling us a little bit about what you were hoping to achieve with this album and what this album brings to the trilogy.
Oh, well, it was a desire for us to restart, the music journey also with a story, not from the very beginning, because after doing two big sagas for a period of time, we didn't want to do that, but we felt that starting with the Eighth Mountain with this new story was the right thing to do. And basically, Glory for Salvation is the second chapter of this new Rhapsody of Fire saga. At this time of the story, the hero opened his eyes and realized the reality around him, understand that he will have to fight with all this power and strength to accomplish all his goals. So there isn't really a connection with our daily life. A lot of people ask me that. But anyway, we try to deliver a metaphor and to drive people to believe in themselves and make them realize that every one of us has a second chance. And in order to do so, we have to work hard for it, of course.
Tell us a little bit about how the band writes out the sagas. What's that process like when you first have an idea and you write out the idea for the saga, but then have to turn it into 12 or 13 songs?
Well, first of all, the process is the music starts first. The music comes first. I compose music by myself. I create music and songs by myself, as well with Robbie, because he's a great guitar player. He has a lot of guitar riffs and guitar ideas. So we combine this working process, and only after that. Normally, I also prepare a demo version of every song, drums, bass, and real guitars that I get from Robbie, and I do basic arrangements and create also vocal lines, all the choirs, all the harmonies, etc. So based on that, we give the melody to Giacomo, and he starts writing the lyrics accordingly.
Awesome. So, Alex, tell us a little bit about some of the instruments on this album, because there are some very, very beautiful sounding instruments that we don't always hear on albums on this album. Tell us a little bit about some of the instruments that people can expect to hear on this album.
Well, yes. Well, first of all, I can say we were very lucky because I flew to Italy last year in summer, and we recorded all the vocals in Giacomo's house. He has a nice little studio under the house, so we could stay there and work in peace. So there we did all the vocals, all the choirs, and all the solo instruments that I decided to use in this album. So we have the William pipes, we have the Celtic harp, we have the fiddle, the low fiddle. So we have a lot of Celtic Irish instruments, as well as violin, viola, cello, and a lot of flutes played by my brother, of course. So we have a lot of solo instruments, and this gives a very special sound to the parts I wanted to highlight. You know what I mean? So on the Eighth Mountain we had a full orchestra, but on this album I decided to use more single instruments and concentrate on that kind of more intimistic sound, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I do. And as a composer, how do you know what instrument is right for each song? But also, how do you know when a song is written, what instruments you want to use on each track?
That's an interesting question, because I do that. For example, I do that all the time. I just write down stuff on a simple text document. So, for example, the song "Tarion the Hawk," I started composing it because I just wrote down, I want to use a William pipe, I want to use a Celtic harp, I want to use this instrument and do this kind of song. And that was basically the stimulation that I have, I stimulate myself with ideas, of course, and so just knowing I wanted to use this Celtic, Irish, Scottish kind of sound, I composed the song. So there's also another factor which is important. I was with Giacomo recording vocals, and I asked him if he knows somebody that plays the William pipes, and he knew somebody that lived like 10 minutes away from where we were. And the guy came, and he's a fantastic, brilliant, professional William pipes player. So sometimes also I got lucky, with a situation like that.
Yeah. Are you forever discovering new instruments as well? Like, do you actively go out and seek out new instruments?
No, not really, but I always keep an open eye on everything that it could give me some inspiration and could fit with the music of Rhapsody of Fire. In the past, we have used a lot of instruments, and we use a lot of Baroque, medieval recorders. We use cembalo, we use viola da gamba, all these particular instruments that normally they are played in Baroque ensemble. And my brother played the duduk, which is an Armenian instrument, often used from Hans Zimmer, for example. And there are some instruments that really, when you hear them, it really opens up your heart, because they are so, if they are greatly played, they really do something special when you listen to them, and it creates some atmosphere that are so unique, and you cannot achieve that with a keyboard.
Definitely. You mentioned Hans Zimmer there as well, and when I listened to this album, I heard a movie soundtrack. This album sounds like it needs to be the soundtrack of some epic fantasy film. Is that something that you would love to do one day with Rhapsody of Fire, write a movie soundtrack?
Well, yes, that's a dream. Actually, I did a soundtrack for my longtime friend Neil Johnson, and he's a movie director. Actually, he also lived in Australia for many, many years. And I did the soundtrack of a movie called Rock Warrior, Robot Fighter.
Yep.
And it was the best experience I could ever imagine, because normally with Rhapsody of Fire, I create music imagining images and natural landscapes. It's really helped me to look at photos, to remember experience that I did in mountains by myself, in forests. There's always a deep connection with nature when I compose, but when you really have images on your computer, you see the shooting, you see the situation, etc. You have to build music on top. It was one of the best things, and very easy for me actually. It was. I was really working every day, and all ideas flowing just by watching the images. So yes, definitely yes, that's something that I would love to do, of course.
Alex, you just mentioned nature there being a big inspiration for you. Are you someone that loves to go out into nature on long walks and things like that to get inspiration from the nature that's around you?
Yeah, but normally when I do that, it's not that I'm seeking for musical inspiration, because it's a big part of my life. So when I go into the nature, I just don't want to think about anything, but just enjoy the moment, So yes, and as you can see from the latest video clip we just released, we have a very strong connection with music. We went to shoot this video clip very high, in a very, it was like 2,000 meters, and it was super cold and windy, but it's a rough weather, but this is what we connect with. And yes, I love going to the mountains and working in the forest and really be in touch with the nature. I always had this in my life since I was a kid.
You mentioned earlier about working with a choir with this album. Was it difficult to have a choir together with all the COVID restrictions and everything that was going on, and how did those quarantines and lockdowns affect this album getting put together?
Regarding the choirs, as I said, I was in Italy last summer, in summer 2020, and the moment was a bit better, so there were not restrictions in place, so we could organize the opera choir and the rock choir, which we use different singers for those choirs, and yeah, basically was everything was fine, like normal situation, but. Yeah, it's true that we were on tour in 2000, when it was, I don't know, 2019, so we had to go back home. We still had to do some shows to do, but we had to really to stop it. But I must say that beside the gym being closed for a few months here in London, I was okay to be at home and have a lot of time to work. For me, it was time-wise was a blessing, I must say, because I did many things and could accomplish the production the way I wanted, as it was anyway. It was programmed like that, so I had no really big problems for that.
We've just come out of a lockdown that lasted 230 days, and everybody's celebrating being back out now. What does it feel like for you being back out there and being able to do shows once again?
Well, it's a great feeling, and in fact, we organized 30 shows around Europe, and this is going to start mid-January until mid-February, and hopefully we are going to do that. I think we are one of the very first bands going out there, and yeah, I hope everything will be fine, and it's a very good feeling. But still, I'm very cautious. I really want to see if this is really happening or not. It's really hard to believe, but we are positive.
Definitely, yeah. We're the same here. We keep on thinking, are we going to get put back in lockdown sometime as well? Alex, I know we are running out of time very, very quickly, so I wanted to ask before I go, what would you like to say to all of your Australian fans out there before they go out and grab this album, but also, is the hope in the future to head to Australia for a tour at some stage as well?
Well, it was always a dream to come to Australia to play. It's a long way to go, but we would love to do that. And personally, if the band comes, I will stay there for a while, because I have a few friends that visited or they lived in Australia, and they told me how great the country is. And regarding fans, we know we have quite some fans over there, and well, we are trying to organize that. We are now working on expanding the tour, and in 2022 we hope to go in many more countries, and we as a band we are ready to play anywhere, and so if the moment is right, and and we have the chance, we would fly over tomorrow if it would be possible. You know what I mean? So yeah, definitely yes, it's something we are considering. Every time we release an album and we want to tour, we always say we should go in Australia. Every time we say that.
That would be amazing. And mate, to finish off, what would you like to say to all of your fans here in Australia before they go out and grab the album as well?
Well, they should just go out and buy the album, and then and then make their own mind about it. I invite all of you, and this is really important. It's not like me begging or what, but it's important to buy physical copies. We do our best to generate the best musical content, the best lyrical content, the best graphics, and we have a fantastic team now. I think the last two records, especially this last one, Glory for Salvation, it contained one of the best graphics we ever did, and we want to support visually the music that we do, and also we have a very special limited box. We have so many things that I hope fans will appreciate and buy to collect and to have. So this is really still a very important part for a musician, that fans buy the physical copies, and we count on that. And hopefully we are going to see each other on tour. So it's a really a great communion of energy between the band and the fans, when the fans really appreciate the music, they buy the records, and they come to the shows, and that's the best thing that can happen.